Hey guys, I hope you are well. I certainly am. Had a very busy day, lots of accomplishment, lots going on. Had you on my heart most of the day and what we're going to say for today on Daymaker. I'm excited about what God's doing with Daymaker. It's just very exciting every day to see what He wants to do next. I've had this one on my heart, and Moses is one of my favorite Bible characters, and I wanted to take just a little motion, a little moment and motion out of Moses's life, and just share with you some things. You know, in Exodus chapter 3, he said, "I'm sending you to Pharaoh, to Moses, right, to bring my people to the Israelites out of Egypt." So God drafts Moses by, showing up in a bush in a fire, because our God is a consuming fire. And basically, the fire interests Moses. He turns towards the fire, which perks his interest. And I think just absolutely, of course, Moses has been called his whole life for this moment. And then Moses goes over to the fire, and God begins to talk to him out of this burning bush, which is all by itself crazy. So what if you walk up to the bush, and it starts talking to you? That would kind of freak you out. But basically, he tells Moses, "I am sending you," and I think Moses depicts what most of us would feel, which would be, "What do you mean you're sending me?" And he begins to battle the qualification, the sending, the ability, his ability. He's just so aware of himself that what hits him is, I can't do this, right? And there's nothing wrong with that once we know that. But the truth is, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And the more weak we are, the more stronger is God is through us. But that doesn't help our confidence level or our ability to go. So in Exodus 4:10, the first excuse that Moses says is, "I'm not qualified." Have you ever been there? I'm not qualified. I don't know that I've been qualified for most of what I've done. I particularly wasn't qualified to be a pastor. Not from a character perspective. I was a nightclub owner, wasn't living for God. Uh, anyway, messy, and more messy. Really messy, and I'm not going to rehearse all that. But was I qualified? No. Am I qualified right now for what I feel like God's called me to do? Not really. Do I feel like I'm able to step into what God is showing me to do? Events He wants me to plan, places He wants me to go, what He wants me to call myself. I'm not feeling qualified. So Moses immediately hears God's voice and immediately says, "I can't do this." And then God says to what He says to you and me. And this is what I want to say to you: I will be with you. Exodus chapter 3. I will be with you. And then he tells God, and then he's like, "Okay, God, who am I going to say sent me?" And then he's like, "I am." In other words, he says, "I am. I don't need you to be qualified. I just need you to obey. I need you." Here's what I'd love for God to say to you and me. God is saying, "I don't need you to be qualified. I just need you to be willing." And that's you and me. I know, listen, some of you may be facing things, unbelievable things. You may not know what's next. You may not know where you're going to be. You may not know your job. You don't know about your future. You don't know about your housing. You don't know about, you know what? God is with you. God is able. And you don't have to feel qualified. Just be willing. Maybe God's called you to do such and such. What's God called you to do that you don't feel qualified to do? I don't know. Gideon didn't feel qualified. Moses didn't feel qualified. Noah didn't feel qualified. Listen, it is standard for you and me to never feel qualified. So that was the first thing. I think Jesus even said to the disciples, and I was watching Chosen when He sent them out in whatever that is, series 3, episode 3, I think it is. He sends out the 12, and man, they're just like all over the place making these excuses. Well, what if this happens? What if we hit a bad streak? What if you don't want us to take a coat? You don't want us to take any money? You don't want us to? And Jesus is like, "I will be with you even to the end of the age." So you know what? He's with us. The next thing in the Exodus 3:13 says, Moses said, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? And then Moses is saying, so Moses is just trying to tell God, I don't have all the answers. I don't even know who you are, right? So maybe you and I have been there. We don't know God well enough to be prepared to give an answer for everything. But you know what? The Bible tells us to be ready to answer with hope in 1 Peter 3:15. Answer with hope. So be ready to give an answer for the hope that's in you. He didn't say you have to know everything. He just said, the hope that's inside of you. So anyway, all I'm going to say to us is you may not feel qualified. You may not have all the answers. Here's the question. What excuses are keeping you and me from doing the thing that God has called us to do? And I'm talking to me tonight as well and today. I'm talking to me. I'm like going, okay, God. And so people that know what I'm stepping into, I feel like a teenager. I feel like I'm an adolescent stepping into, or I feel like a minor league ball player in a major league world, and I'm about to be stepping up to the major leagues. And I've been pastoring for 40 years. But you know what we can do? We can seek God, we can ask him, and we can also obey him. Again, I want to say this to you. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to be qualified. Just be willing. And then step out and obey. That's your Daymaker for today. And I hope you will, and I believe you will do it. Hey, it's Friday. We've had a great week on Daymaker. I'll be picking up another print set of the Daymaker cheat sheets tomorrow. We improved the from the first print. We did a table of contents. We added some things to the back pages. We updated the cover. We did some more editing on the material. But the print, if you bought one in round with the first print, then it's the same content. Okay, it's just improved. Okay, so we'll have those on Monday. If you're interested in picking up one of those, I'll make sure you get one to you. It feels great. It's a beautiful book. I've got one right here, actually. It's actually beautiful. It's just the cover's beautiful. The back page is beautiful. It's glossy paper. I can show you a little bit. Here's one of the cheat sheets for PTSD and anxiety. Somebody sent me a message and said this was the best one. This one's on triggers. I've got some on anxiety in here. Let me show you another beautiful one. Let me get you one. Here's one. Here's one on vision and purpose. Here's one on mental health. This is this format here. Anyway, I'll get it up here close where you can really see it. But man, it's just a beautiful. It's a beautiful book, and I'd love for you to have it. Thank you to our partners. Thank you for having a great week. Next week's going to be a great week on Daymaker. The YouTube channel is doing fantastic. Hey, get over to the podcast, okay? Come on, get over. I need your support in that podcast. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to add value to your life. I love doing that, but I want you to help me make that podcast stir around in social media a little bit. So if you'll give me a little bit of effort there, I would love it and appreciate it so very much. Hey, listen, thank you again for letting me be a part of your life, and thank you for being a part of the Daymaker family. And I'm going to see you next week right here on Daymaker.